So it's Palm Sunday, and we come together and we celebrate the day that Jesus came into Jerusalem. And there were crowds standing around watching him come in, waving palms and celebrating his excitement. And I really wanted to spaz out for you and tell you how excited I was that BTS was on Saturday Night Live last night. But I didn't think any of you would know who BTS is because you're not into K-pop. And I'm probably talking a foreign language to you all right now. But in my house, we know what K-pop is. So the other thing that I wanted to share with you this morning about this is the illustration with this little thing. You know, the difference between that. I can't even do it now. I'm under the gun. Hang with me. And that's what I want you to remember if you don't take anything else. Here's the thing: we've been going through Lent. Lent is 40 days before Easter, and it's a time of reflection. And we've been looking at the Psalms of Ascent, and the Psalms of Ascent are Psalms 120 to 134, and it's 15 psalms. And in ancient tradition, there were 15 steps up to the temple in Judaism. And as the worshipers on holy days came, they would take one step at a time, and they'd recite one of these psalms. And the psalms kind of reflect our full life, the good and the bad. So we've been looking at some of these psalms as we've been going along, and this is the last one before Easter. So I wanted to share this with you because it's about community. And we haven't talked about community yet. We've talked about things that were hard in life. We've talked about things that we needed to do and things God calls us to do, but we haven't really talked about community. And one of the biggest questions that a lot of people have is, why do I need to go to church? Why do you need to come to church on Sunday? I can watch Joel Osteen on TV or Andy Stanley, and they're much better than I am. So, amen to you for at least acknowledging that. But why? And this psalm really puts an exclamation point on it. It's almost the last psalm. So if you think about it, you're coming up 15 steps, and you're just about to get into the temple, and you're on the one from the top. And whoever organized this way put the community piece there intentionally. Because community is why you come to the temple. So I want to share with you a little bit about that as we wrap up this sermon series right before Easter. And I want you to remember that illustration of this little popper. The illustration is fantastic. Can you just hang with me? Can you imagine me with this big, huge, long, fluffy white? Because white is like wisdom, right? Old, right? So white, fluffy, and it would come in white anyway now. So I'm just having fantasies about 10 years ago. But this big white beard, and I'm up here with my white robe and stoles, like in the full like garb. And you'd all be down there going, oh, and imagine, right? Now that's where I'm at. And this picture is full of oil, like not just oil, like extra virgin olive oil with a little scent of like the most great smelling perfume you could ever imagine. And Faye Meyer, is she in here? No, she's out there. She's our sexton. Right, and that's a crazy, weird word that Christians can't get with it. So we still use words like that. Basically, she's our custodian, right? So hang with me. This is why it's funny. She's really, really good at her job. Very, very, very attentive to the littlest detail. I take this pitcher filled with extra virgin olive oil with a little scent of the best smelling perfume in the world, and I pour it over my head. Right? And it runs down this big white beard and onto my robe and stoles and then onto the floor, and I have this big puddle of oil on the floor. Can you imagine? She'd be freaking out right now. Especially if you know Faye. Like, that's probably why she's not in here, because she saw it I did an hour ago, and she saw it. There would be this huge mess on the floor. And how in the world would a dry cleaner get out like tons of olive oil? And I would be like dripping with oil, and who would want to hug me after the service? Wait, that's why I should do it. So, yeah, I'm not a hugger if you don't know me. So here's the first thing. The first thing, and I think this is the most profound thing to share with you, but it's the truth. And you know this. Community gets messy. It gets messy. What's the most basic form of community? Husband and wife. I love my wife, but I like action flicks. She likes romantic comedies. I want to shoot myself in an action flick when I watch too many romantic comedies with her. We've made a covenant to be together for better or for worse. And sometimes it's awesome. Most of the time. We've been married long enough where we've figured out a lot of those kinks. I'm still dripping. See, isn't that cool? But in the beginning of our marriage, it was tough. There were joyous times, but there was some for the worse. I'd tell you a story, but you'd be really mad, so I'll just focus on me. I remember there were times where it was nothing but a gut vow. Like I made a vow to stay with her and to work this out, and if it takes 10 years, I'm not going anywhere. It was like pure gut commitment. I want to suggest to you that sometimes in the most best intimate communities that you have, whether it's just a spousal community or and like kids, that's a whole nother level, right? If you've had kids and put in and run them through, I have a girl who turns 18 this week, and I am so pumped. I put in 18 hard years of nurturing her to the point where she's capable of surviving on her own and making her own vision and dreams and life happen. It's so incredible, and it's so freeing, and it's so joyous. But there were times, teenage times, I don't want to, okay, so it gets messy, right? Spousal communities get messy. Family communities get messy. There's been more than one Thanksgiving service where I've stood up here and preached to you, like, try to be nice with your family, with your extended family, right? Because the reality is that it's hard and messy. Not everybody likes action flicks. And not everybody likes romantic comedies. And not everybody thinks that, the way you do and the way I do. And the bigger the community gets, and the more intense the relationships get, intense in a good way, like close, the harder it gets and the messier it can get. And so many people that I know, that I talk to, I don't tell anybody I'm a pastor. No offense. I don't mind if you tell people I'm a pastor, but I don't go out and tell, I'm a pastor, you should come to my church. No, because I know that a lot of people think that church is hypocritical and they don't want to participate because they've had a bad experience, or it's not their thing. Like there's all these excuses, and it's not that. It's that we as a church need to recognize that the goal is really powerful, great community. But community gets messy. And when it gets messy, we need to follow the script in the Bible. We need to love and sacrifice and love and forgive and love and show grace and do all of that. Because when it gets really messy, just like in a spousal relationship or in a familial relationship, sometimes it is pure gut commitment. I am going to go to church on Sunday morning, even though I don't want to, because I don't want to deal with these people that made me mad or did this or that, or be mad at God. Like, I'm not going because I'm mad at God, or I'm not going because I don't know anymore. Someone just rocked my world by sharing some facts with me about the Bible that I don't necessarily know if I agree with. I don't know what to do with it. All this stuff. Did you ever feel something in your heart, but do something different because your brain told you it was the right thing to do, even though your heart wasn't in it? If I told you all, right now, if I say, hey, raise your hands, right? Raise your hands. You might not feel like doing it, but you could do it. And if you trusted me enough that if raising your hands had some kind of benefit, fiduciary benefit, like let's do calisthenics or let's stretch, right? That'll really help you right now. And if you believe me enough and you did it, you would get the benefit from it, even if you didn't want to do it. So yeah, it's messy. It's horribly messy. But there's a benefit to it, and I want to share with you what this whole illustration of this oil running down, running from your head down to the floor and making a mess. I want to share with you what that means, because in our world, when you think of me pouring oil on my head and all that stuff, and it's just gross, right? It's gross. So here's the deal. When you come together in community, it's kind of like that, right? It's kind of a little pop. It's exciting. You get together with people you know and you love, and it gives you a little energy, and all that stuff's really good. But community is supposed to be like that. Christian community takes this little pop and turns it into like a supercharge. Like if we're doing what we need to do as Christians, we're not just here on Sunday morning worshiping God. We're here in the world worshiping God all week long and hanging out with each other and talking with each other and encouraging each other and getting into the mess of life with each other and celebrating God in that. So here's the oil thing for you real quick. In ancient times, oil was used for a couple of different purposes. One was to soften things, right? If you put oil on your skin, it softens your skin. Do you ever have a hard heart about something? I get fixated on things. Some of us get fixated on politics. Some of us get fixated on an idea. Some of us get fixated on a thing. Sometimes when I get fixated on something, I have trouble letting it go. The other day, I'm going to share something with you, but I'm an aggressive driver. And somebody did something the other day that really frustrated me. And they had Pennsylvania license plates on their car. No offense if you're from Pennsylvania. And I had trouble letting it go. Like my heart got hard for a moment, right? It wasn't like, but there are things that weeks and months, like in my marriage, There are things that I've really had to wrestle with because Denise isn't me. And of course, I'm perfect, right? So she's got to make changes. And when you're in that intimate relationship, like I need to live with her all the time. And I need to sit with her and eat every day, and I need to hang out with her, and I need to raise my children with her, and all of a sudden, these little things that I don't agree with can turn into a hard heart. And when you get together in Christian community, and you do it, and you do it, and you do it, and you do it, even if you don't want to, even if you hate it at times, and even, and if you keep doing it, it softens you so that your hard heart isn't so hard anymore. The other thing that oil does in the ancient world, it was a healing substance. It was a balm. It healed you. Do you ever get hurt? You have an ache or an ailing? Christian community, church, gives you an opportunity to share your story. Gives you an opportunity to have prayer partners. Gives you an opportunity for healing in ways that you wouldn't have outside of here. So here's what I want you to think about. I have a bad neck, and it's okay. It's not new. It's an old thing, and I'm going to die with a bad neck, and it's okay. I've dealt with it. But when you have an ailment that doesn't go away, it changes you psychologically. I get cranky when I'm tired. And I tried to stay up last night to see BTS, right? But if I'm tired, and I'm tired, and I'm tired, and I'm tired, and I'm tired, then all of a sudden it's not cranky just on Sunday morning, it's cranky all the time. And now I don't have a problem of health, but I have a problem of health and psychology. And it starts to affect my relationships. And if you get together in Christian community in a positive way all the time on a regular basis, then all of a sudden my neck might not get better, but my attitude starts to get better, and my relationships in my family get better, and my relationships with the people around me get better. And all of a sudden, now I don't have a hard heart anymore, and I'm healed. But there's one more thing that the oil does. And this might be the most important for you. In the Middle East, it's hot. And oil cools you off. Unfortunately, there are times in my life, and I'm sure there are times in your life, where you've gotten hot with someone. You've gotten angry with them. They've ticked you off. Do you have a relationship with someone that you don't even talk to anymore? You don't bother with them anymore? Right? This is kind of like the pre-hard heart phase. The oil cools you off. If you come here in the morning and you talk to me and you're like, oh, I hate this person, they did this. My job as someone who loves you and sees you going down a wrong road is to say, hey, just tell me what's going on. I might not be able to fix it, but just listening to it, letting you vent is like bloodletting. It kind of lets it out, and we give it to God together. And then God cools you off, you get calm. Have you ever been really upset about something and shared it with somebody, and then all of a sudden you felt better? That's the oil. That's the joy of community. So we're getting close to Easter egg time. I can feel the energy. So here's what I want to leave you with before we sing the last song. I share this with you as we come into Easter because I want you to think about what Christian community means to you, what the church means to you, and how maybe it's just a little pop, but how it could be something that changes your life. Because God's promise is at the very end. This is the community of God when you come together, if I'm doing my job, if the music's doing its job, if everything is coming together on a Sunday morning, and I hope it does every Sunday morning, we're reminding you of the most important thing of all. Could you put the last verse up? That last sentence. For there, in Christian community, the people of God, for here, right now, in this moment, when you're together in worship, the Lord God, the one who created all that is, from nothing, he created Adam, and then he created Eve. And whether you believe that's an actual story or whether you just believe it's like a myth about, how, whatever, the fact remains that it's important. There's two people. It's community. And God's first command to them was what? Go and multiply. Make more community. And God knew it was going to be messy. But he knew that the blessings far outweigh the messiness. And it's in even life forevermore. It's not just this moment. It's a moment 1,000 years from now with you in heaven. Because the blessing of God is that powerful that it supersedes even death. The gift of God is life evermore. And this morning, as we baptized Anthony and we baptized Miles, that we were affirming that we believe God's hand is at work in their lives now and forevermore. And in your life as well.